2025 draws to a close, it's a good time to take a step back and look at how the housing market in Houston has evolved over the past year. What trends shaped home prices, inventory, and buyer behavior, and what might the coming year hold? Joining us now is Kat Robinson, Vice Chair of the Houston Association of Realtors, to help us break down the numbers and what it all means for homeowners and buyers alike. Kat, welcome back to Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you would like to join the conversation, if you have a question or comment for Kat, you can call or text 713-440-8870. So, Kat, I am holding the Houston Association of Realtors report that came out today, just a few moments ago at 11. So talk to us. If I'm holding this report, what do I need to be looking at?
So that report is really full of great information. It's kind of an overview of what has happened in the last 30 days, and then or the last month, and then we compare that to 2024's numbers. So that comparison gives us a nice pulse on what's happening, and then it also allows us to see trends as to what's going forward. So it's really good numbers.
So talk to us, what stood out to you most?
So I believe that, here I'm going to go ahead and flip over. I printed them all because I know that you guys having this report is going to be detailed. So I think what stood out the most is that our prices are holding stable, which is fantastic. Our inventory is up, and that's allowing more buyers to get off the bench and get more activity or get involved into the market. So they're more likely to go ahead and write those offers. What's really cool is our pending numbers is up significantly. What does that mean? That means more buyers are under contract to purchase a home than there were last year. And so our numbers in December are going to be really high, which is exciting. And we'll get those numbers in the second week of January.
Really high December to December, or is it really high in general? Because I've often been told, I mean, I know people that had a house on the market were told by the realtor, take it off, don't put it on during the holidays, because things don't sell during the holidays. Wait until the new year, because you don't want to have a long number of days that your house has been listed.
Yeah, no, I think your commentary on that is very on point, because usually our market goes down because of the holidays. Absolutely. However, because of our interest rates softening and the inventory going up, more people are being able to, or they're taking advantage of the market.
Yeah, well, the fact that the inventory is up about 20%.
Yeah.
And this price is remaining steady. Usually when you have more inventory, then the sellers don't have as much power, right?
Yes and no.
Okay. So, but with a lot more inventory, buyers should have more options and more power. So I think you're right. The fact that the numbers aren't going down as far as purchase price, that's terrific.
Yeah, especially if you want to sell. Right now is a great time to sell because you're going to get really close to that list price.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why sellers have been so stubborn on sticking to the price? Even if their inventory is just sitting there?
Right. Houston historically holds. So we understand that if a buyer is going to put in an offer $30,000 below our list price, and we know that it only takes $5,000 a month to hold the property, I think I'd rather hold a property 6 months before giving that $30,000 discount up front. So Houston will hold, and you'll see that because our average days on market went up 8% to 55 days.
I did have a friend who put an offer on a house. There were 9 offers.
Ooh.
And the seller said, okay, I'll take this offer, but no inspections, no quarreling, cash only. I mean, very demanding. Like if you want this house, it's an as is, and it's for a price or above.
Right.
Is that common?
No. It is not in our current market. But, whenever you see, I'm going to use an illustration, when you see a national average of weather, right? If the national American temperature is 78 degrees, what is it going to be in Houston?
Right.
It's going to be 98. So I think the importance is that you know that Houston's market, real estate, is hyper local. So you can go, if you go to Montrose, one block is significantly different than another block. It can be all commercial and bars and fun places to go, or it could be a beautiful tree-lined street with sidewalks. So the real estate market is nuanced, and you've got to really dial in on the specific space.
Since you brought that up, and I know you're here to talk about residential, but it seems like a lot of restaurants are really struggling with lease prices that are going up tremendously, from like $30,000 a month to $40,000 a month. Are you seeing that trend in commercial?
So I don't do commercial.
I know.
So I apologize, but I can definitely get you that information to you.
But looking at Houston specifically, and how you mentioned how we sit on our inventory historically, you heard Frank essentially saying how he had this friend trying to buy a house, and the seller was like, well, it's my market, it's my place, I'm having a lot of bids. Do we get overinflated, this overinflated sense of what our homes are actually worth? And did that come from the pandemic? And now we're still holding on to something that isn't necessarily still there?
Well, I think the pandemic has influences on pricing, but I will say that it is natural human instinct to think that whatever we own is worth more than what it is.
Especially if we've loved it and taken care of it for years.
And put money into it.
Lots of money into it. Mowed the yard, planted the garden.
How do you value that? Is it just you have to totally disassociate yourself with the property and simply look at what the value of the product is and forget? Like, that's the same problem I have when I clean my house. Every little object has life to it for me.
Yes.
So is that part of the job of a realtor, to tell you, stop your dreams?
We don't want to be dream killers by any means. We build the American dream. No, instead, I think the key is to focus on the data. The market data will speak to how much your home is worth, and look into the photos and how the condition is represented in the price, and how you need to compare apples to apples. Let's look at countertops. They're brand new quartz countertops. You have 1990s black granite. Like there's value in the new trending things. So you have to be detailed, and you have to be realistic with what's happening. And you have to understand that a realtor's job isn't to hurt your feelings or tell you that urn of grandma's ashes on the fireplace need to be moved. It's nothing personal.
Right.
It's the data, and our goal is to help you achieve your goal of selling and moving forward.
No more Uba-Tuba countertops?
No.
But we're talking about the seller right now, and there is much more available housing inventory now than there was a year ago. And that's good for buyers, but not great for sellers. So my question becomes then, is it okay for the market to have that shift after the seller's market that we've had just a few years ago?
Yes, all markets are cyclical. So you're always going to see it shift from buyer to seller to buyer, and balanced in between. It's hard to tell where we are until it shifts. But in all of the reports over the last 24 or 12 months, it is saying that we're balanced, meaning that despite the high number of inventory, we're still getting a lot of sales. So we're accomplishing everyone's goals.
So you have great advice for buyers and sellers. When someone goes into a house and they're like struck, but maybe it's not the right neighborhood, or maybe they do need to consider that those countertops aren't right. How does a realtor, hopefully an ethical realtor, say, okay, slow your roll, let's take a real hard look at this property before we put a full price offer on it?
Yeah, no, that is definitely the realtor's role, is to keep things grounded.
Right.
So asking questions of, okay, how are you going to use this space? Can you imagine bringing groceries in from the garage or from the street? Or how do you feel about working from home? And really picture day-to-day lifestyle choices in that space, and then they'll start to begin filtering over from that ooh la la moment to like grounded, can make a logical decision.
A few years ago, we saw really incredible interest rates, and then they went pretty high or higher. And then you said about how they're comfortable right now.
Yeah.
When should you pull the trigger when watching the market like that? Do we say, well, they're bound to go down a little bit more, the economy looks a little troubled, interest rates may drop some, or can't play that game? What do you think? What do you advise?
I advise to buy a house when you are ready. You don't need to play the market on your home, your residence. It is a liability.
Huge difference in money over the lifetime of the property.
It does. That's why you can refinance, or certain lenders will allow you to recast. So once you've paid the equity down so far, you can recast the principal over the remaining term, and it will really reduce how much you pay in interest.
Do you have an opinion on a 50-year mortgage?
I personally do. I'm a fan of it. I think as housing prices continue to increase, it is pricing out the majority of Americans. So it is a tool to get people into ownership. They'll need to stay in that home longer, but trends are already showing that buyers are staying in homes longer. So why not offer a product that meets people where they are and what their goals are, and get them in as soon as possible? I think it's a great thing.
That's interesting. Well, I made the comment, you don't have to take a 30 or 50. You can kind of decide with a lender how many years you want to finance, can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can go for 5-year, 15-year, or 30,
or 32, or 27.
Yeah. The key is that you know that the mortgage is a tool to accomplish your goal of ownership. It'll also help you build equity. Every month you pay down that principal. It's like a forced savings account. So if your $500,000 property stays stable for 20 years, guess what? You've paid down that. So it is like a forced savings account. So when you do sell, you have that built up equity to use towards your next chapter.
Kat, we have seen some recent reports about out-migration from Texas and Houston. Is that going to be a problem locally for our local market?
So Houston is so diverse, and we are so happy to have everyone here. So I don't see it causing any issues with immigration. I think Houston is welcoming everyone, and our industries need people to fill those staff positions. So we're happy. Come on.
What makes a hot neighborhood, do you think?
I think schools are part of it. I think amenities and proximity to work are key things. I also believe that trees really make a big difference. So I saw in a report a couple years ago that on average, a big, beautiful tree in your front yard will increase your sales price or your property value by $7,000.
And if you're in the home for 50 years paying off your mortgage, you could have a huge tree.
Huge. You could have a forest.
Kat, the other thing that we see oftentimes, and we see it a lot in Houston, specific pockets, we see bubbles and busts in not just Houston, but everywhere. We see it in the Heights. But it seems to be okay. And you kind of talk about that balancing out. Why is that? And do you think that we'll be insulated from those dramatic shifts in the near term?
So let's talk about what a bubble is. And when a housing bubble starts is when prices continue to increase and the economy cannot sustain it. And so that causes a burst, right? Guess what? Houston's economy is so strong. We're so excited to host the World Cup next year. I'm seeing that everywhere on social media. The bust is not, there's no bubble in Houston at all. And it's shown by the stats. The data shows that we're stable. And if you look at the Greater Houston Partnership and what they're talking about in our economy, we're solid.
Nice.
Kat Robinson is the vice chair of the Houston Association of Realtors. Kat, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me.